On this episode of the Fright Chronicles, we bring you to Olivewood Cemetery in Riverside, California, because I'm going to share with you a very bizarre story that is very famous and known here in Riverside about the toxic lady, Gloria Ramirez. Come along for a frightfully good time. So yes, we are at Olivewood Cemetery, and it is like a Christmas wonderland here. It's so awesome to see families decorating for the holidays for their loved ones that have passed away. So many Christmas trees. And I believe some families are now taking it down because it is January 2026. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story while we're walking and looking for Gloria's grave. And I'm glad I have my umbrella today because it is really starting to come down now. But I guess it's a fitting day to share this bizarre story with you. So let's set the scene. It's February 19th, 1994, and Gloria Ramirez is a 31-year-old mom of two living a normal life here in Riverside, California. But she's battling advanced cervical cancer in its terminal stage. She's at home and she's feeling super sick, having heart palpitations, trouble breathing, incoherent speech. Paramedics rush her to Riverside General around 8:15 p.m. And unfortunately, we can't show you where Riverside General is because it's now been demolished and a new hospital in a different location has since been built. But the ER team jumps into action and they're giving her meds to calm her heart, oxygen, everything. But then things start to get a little weird. Nurses notice this oily sheen covering her body, and it has a strange, fruity, garlic-like odor coming from her mouth. One of the nurses drew blood from Gloria, only to be hit by an ammonia-like smell. And then suddenly, the nurse fainted, followed by one after another after another. Several medical workers experienced symptoms like shortness of breath, nausea, and temporary paralysis. As I continue the story, we're going to walk to where her grave is. At this point, the hospital was thrown into chaos because 6 staff members were affected. And unfortunately, Gloria herself passed away shortly after. The incident was initially thought to be mass hysteria, but investigations revealed a more sinister possibility. And here is her grave of Gloria Ramirez. Researchers from Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory discovered that Gloria had been self-administering a medicine, a pain treatment called DMSO, which is dimethyl sulfoxide, and it's used for pain treatment, but when it's exposed to oxygen, it's likely converted into dimethyl sulfate, which is a highly toxic substance. So as the story goes on, about 23 out of 37 ER staff reported symptoms while they were working on her, and 5 were actually hospitalized. They had to call in a hazmat team in full suits, and they treated it like a chemical spill. And when they were doing her autopsy, they were also in sealed suits, and they tested air samples, everything, but there was no obvious poison, no nerve gas, nothing. So it goes back to them thinking she used DMSO, It's not FDA approved for using as a pain medication, but it is common in alternative remedies. So in the ER, with the oxygen, defibrillation shocks, and blood drawing, it allegedly converted to the super toxic gas that can cause all of these symptoms that the nurses and staff were experiencing, which was nausea, fainting, respiratory issues. So the theory surrounding all of this was actually published in a scientific journal and was endorsed by the Riverside coroner. But that didn't convince everyone. Some say it was mass hysteria or high stress in the ER leading to psychosomatic symptoms. But Gloria's family was furious when they labeled her the toxic lady, which I could understand. No one would want something like that said about their family member, because they claim that, or they didn't like that label because they basically said that it stripped away her dignity and they blamed the hospital. It's a bizarre story, and like I said, very sad. It's now been 30 years later, and people still talk about this bizarre story. Was it a rare chemical reaction, mass psychogenic illness, or something else entirely? Conspiracy theories range from a meth lab cover-up, because apparently during that time drugs were really bad in Riverside, or to wilder stuff, but nothing has been proven. So what do you think? Drop your theories in the comments. Was it the DMSO explanation, hysteria, or something more sinister? Now, I know this type of video is different from what we normally show on this channel, but this is something that I want to bring more to the channel. I am very intrigued and interested in stories like this, and I've also always been into the paranormal and the spooky, and I'm also into abandoned things. I think I'm going to try to bring more content like this to the channel, because this is something that I have always found interesting and wanted to explore more, because then again it gets me out into the open air and exploring different places throughout my state and other states. So if you like this type of content, make sure you slash that subscribe button to join the Fright Fam. And until next time, don't forget to stay spooky.